All right, friends, it's a little past 11:30. I'm meteorologist Trevor Birchett with another severe weather update for you. If you're watching on Facebook, I have the comments pulled up, so feel free to ask questions or comments or things like that. I'd love to read some of those comments and try to pass along as much information as I can as we are starting off what is likely going to be a pretty rough and a pretty dangerous evening here in Memphis and the Mid-South. Don't want to scare you, don't want to work you up, don't want you to get anxious. I understand how it is. I used to have storm anxiety too. That's not my job to scare you, but I do have to make sure you're aware of what could happen and be prepared for what could happen as well. This is a live look outside again. This is 11:38 on this Wednesday morning. As you look outside over downtown, you see it's breezy. The camera's bouncing a little bit. We've already had some peaks of sunshine, and while that might make it look like a pretty day, that's just adding more energy for those storms to develop a little later on. So any more sunshine is just going to add kind of more fuel to the fire because it adds more heat to the surface for those storms to use a little bit later. It's 81 right now already. Feels like 83 degrees, so it's warm, it's muggy, it's humid. It's also breezy. Winds have been crazy this morning. We've already had trees come down, power outages reported, and even blowing dust in parts of Arkansas. Crittenden and Mississippi County in Arkansas, the wind is picking up all that dust and blowing it across the interstate. Again, this is even well before the storms will arrive. Here is the radar right now. This is where the storms are as of 11:39. They're setting up back in Texas, Oklahoma, and western Arkansas, even all the way through Missouri. So we have several more hours before they get to us. But look at this. The storm energy is already in place, and that storm energy is going to continue to ramp up through the afternoon and then through the evening as those storms get a little bit closer to us. I'm going to check out these Facebook comments now. Amy, can you pinpoint the path of the storm? And unfortunately, that's something we just can't do, right? We can't tell you what neighborhood is going to get what storm. And then about what time the severe weather will begin. I do have that update for you here in just a couple of seconds. Stick with me here. What I can tell you, I can't really tell you what neighborhoods will be affected until the storm is happening. We try to give you a 20, 30, 40-minute heads up when these storms will start to develop, where they're going to go. But that's not something I can do several hours in advance, right? So I can tell you that everybody in the Mid-South, regardless of whether you're in the level 5 out of 5 or the 4 out of 5, whatever color you're in, you have a very high risk today for severe weather. All of the ingredients are in place for severe weather. So, whether or not that storm impacts your specific neighborhood, it's yet to be seen, unfortunately. The technology is not that good to pinpoint that down quite yet. But everybody does have the ingredients in place for some pretty rough severe weather. They do not issue these level 5 out of 5s very often without there being a considerable threat of severe weather. And usually when we see these, we do see some pretty violent weather. So that's what we're concerned about today. It's all going to start about 4 p.m. So I would say get wherever you're going by 4 or 5 p.m. That means if you live in a mobile home, if you live in a manufactured home, find somewhere else to be by then. Go visit a family member. Go hang out with grandma for the night. She would love the visit. Even if no weather happens, go hang out with the family for the night in a safer place than a mobile home or a manufactured home. And then this threat continues through about 1 in the morning across the area. Now it's going to keep raining after that, but that's just when our highest severe weather threat is. We do have the impact of severe thunderstorms, and the ingredients are there for some strong tornadoes today. That's not going to happen in every neighborhood, right? Only a few of these storms will produce tornadoes, but when they do, they could quickly become strong tornadoes. So I want you to plan for this severe weather, know what you're going to do if it happens near you, and make sure you have a way to get those weather alerts as they are issued. Sun keeps poking through in Bolivar. Yeah, that's something we're kind of concerned about. Anytime you get that sun, it's just adding more and more energy for those storms a little later. Is this the worst you've seen? So a lot of people are asking that question, is this as bad as this storm, fill in the blank? And it's kind of hard to compare two storms before they happen. I will say this is probably the wildest week of weather I've seen. We've seen level 5 out of 5 risks before. One happened 2 years ago on March 31st, 2023. You have to go back a few more years before that, before the last one. We had a lot in 2011 and then a few high risks in 2008. But comparing that to what's about to happen, it's hard to say for sure. What I can say is all of the ingredients are in place for severe weather to develop, and it could be pretty serious. Is there a possibility of power outages? Absolutely. Not only from today, I mean, we already have some power outages before the storms even hit because of the wind. Once the storms hit, power outages definitely possible. And then over the next few days, as we turn to more of a flooding threat, the ground is going to be so soaked that it's going to be easier for those trees to fall down and cause power outages. As far as your storm threats, what we're concerned about, again, this is 4 p.m. today to 1 a.m. in the morning. So a lot of this is coming in the overnight hours. Risk of 60-mile-an-hour wind gust is high, and again, that could lead to power outages. The tornado risk is high. Now, a lot of people look at this and they say, oh, there's a high risk of a tornado hitting my house. That's not what that means. This means there is a high risk of tornadoes in our area, right? We cover West Tennessee, North Mississippi, and East Arkansas. I do think the risk for tornadoes in that zone is high. The ingredients are definitely there, and if tornadoes can develop, they could be severe and strong. Some hail also possible, and then a high risk of flooding rain. Again, it's already breezy this morning. Before the storms are even here, we're seeing wind gusts up to 50 miles an hour already. Those will just increase as the storms get closer and closer. And then in the actual storms, we could see the wind gust even higher than this, 60 to 70 miles an hour. Right now, the radar is clear. You don't have anything to worry about until 4 o'clock. But by 4 o'clock, there go those storms starting to develop. Some of these isolated storms, if these can get going by 4 or 5 p.m., those would actually be the most severe. Those isolated cells, those are the ones that have the best chance to produce strong and violent tornadoes. We're going to wait to see if any of those storms can actually pop up ahead of that line, because if they can, those will be the ones to watch. That could start by 4, 5, 6 p.m., and then the main line of thunderstorms starts to cross in by 7 or 8 p.m. Notice it right into Memphis by 8 or 9 o'clock tonight. This line, damaging wind gusts, hail, and the potential for some tornadoes as well. That continues to the east by 10 o'clock through most of West Tennessee, just started to get down into North Mississippi, and then continuing through midnight. Now, after midnight, it's going to keep raining. Could even thunder a little bit, but the severe weather threat will shrink once we get past midnight and into the overnight hours. And this is why the storm energy is going to go away. We have plenty of it right now. Storm energy is pretty much off the charts. You've got that warm, humid, soupy air ready to go when thunderstorms develop. It is going to remain high through this afternoon and this evening. So right ahead of those storms, very high storm energy for them to tap into. By 10 o'clock even, and by midnight, the storm energy starts to shrink away for most of the Mid-South. It kind of gets eaten up by those storms. And then by tomorrow morning, the storm energy pretty much goes away. So I would say by 1 or 2 in the morning, those storms will start to become less severe. It will still be raining, it'll still be stormy, but that severe weather threat will be decreasing in the overnight hours. See if I can answer a couple of questions here. Yeah, charge up your stuff. We're just about to talk about that. What time is the best place to get to shelter? In North Mississippi, I would say wherever you are going to be for this storm, be there by 5 p.m. That might be a little early in some spots, but I'd rather you be there at 5 o'clock, know where you're going to be, know that you have a safe place in that location, and stay there in the overnight hours. Thank you so much for the kind words from Mason in Arlington. Amy, why are we going to get 10 inches of rain? It's moving fast. Yeah, this round is moving fast. But then we actually have Thursday, Friday, and Saturday that we're going to have storms continue. So this is just kind of round one where we could get 2 or 3 inches of rain, and then it's going to continue to rain for 3 days after that. We'll talk about that more here in just a second. What I'm most concerned about, though, of course, tonight is the severe weather potential. We just want you to be prepared. We don't want you to be scared. I don't get anything out of working you up, getting you scared. I don't make any extra money if I do that. Just not what I believe in. I don't do that. As someone who grew up being scared of storms, the last thing I want to do is scare anyone with my words. But I do have to let you know about the potential. I can't pretend it's not there. We have to talk about it and make sure you're prepared. And if you're prepared, you don't have to be as scared. That's what I learned. When I started learning more about the storms and knowing what to do, I wasn't as scared anymore. Step one of that is making sure you have a way to get weather alerts. A weather radio is best. Your phone also will wake you up as long as you're sleeping with the sound on. If you go to your notification settings and scroll all the way down, make sure your government alerts are on. A lot of people turn those off because they can be kind of annoying, but make sure you have them on just for tonight at least, so that you can be woken up if a storm happens to pop up near you. And then the second part to that is know your safe place. If your phone does go off in the middle of the night, what is your safe room? Bathroom, closet, lowest floor of your building. and away from windows. Cover your head with something. That's a great thing to do. And then, like we were just talking about, we are going to have to plan for flooding after this. So good rain chance today with those storms coming in, but it continues Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and all of that is going to add up. So areas north of Memphis, we're talking about possibly 12 to 15 inches of rain. This is the newest forecast that just updated. Over a foot of rain in northeast Arkansas, northwest Tennessee, now up to 10 to 12 inches in Memphis. So anywhere along I-40 and north of it, we have a considerable flooding threat. The National Weather Service calls this almost like a once-in-a-lifetime flooding potential because those creeks, those streams, even the ground, it can only hold so much water. At some point, the water has to go somewhere else. It's spilling out of its banks. It's going into neighborhoods. It's going onto roads. And we could be dealing with a very serious flooding situation starting really tomorrow. You know, this first round of rain isn't going to be extremely heavy. We'll get a couple of inches, but that's manageable. But then the rain just keeps going. By Thursday and Friday, that's when we're going to start to have some serious issues with flooding. North Mississippi, slightly lower totals. They might get a break or two in the rain that Memphis and areas north don't get, but still 2 to 4 inches, and that could still lead to some flooding. I hope that answered your question there. Let's see. Let's answer some of these questions. What time should we be in the storm shelter in McNary? I would say if you're that worried about it, stay in the shelter all night. That sometimes soothes people's anxiety. I know when I was scared of weather, I would just sleep in the laundry room because I know that was my safe place, and then I didn't have to worry about being woken up or anything. Be in the storm shelter all night if it makes you feel safe. The best thing is, and some good news if it can be said, tornadoes hardly ever strike without warning, especially on a day like today. The National Weather Service and the folks at NOAA do an incredible job with this new technology, finding these tornadoes and issuing the warnings early. So you're almost never going to have a tornado touchdown without at least a 10, 15, 20-minute warning. So if you have your phone on, and you have it set to make noise, and you're going to get that alert, you know 100% that alert is going to come to my phone, you can just wait and go to shelter then, right? But if you're worried about it, if you're scared about it, just hang out in the shelter for the evening. That might be the best idea for you. 3:30 to 4 looks quiet, nothing happening in that time frame. This will really start after 4 o'clock. FEMA shelter 30 seconds away. Yeah, kind of the same thing. Charlie, good to hear from you, by the way, a childhood friend of mine. If you are close by, you could probably wait until you get that warning on your phone to head over there. You know, there's no reason to be in there all night. As long as you have a way to get the alert and you're paying attention, and then when we say, okay, you know, DeSoto County, be in your safe place, that's when you can go. But if it worries you, you know, go ahead and just hang out there. McNary will get it bad. Definitely in the threat zone, that is for sure. We hope it misses McNary. You know, McNary was hit so hard. We just passed the anniversary of it on March 31st, 2023. 9 people lost their lives in McNary County, so I would hate for them to be impacted again. Those folks are still rebuilding, as we checked in with them up in Bethel Springs a little bit ago for the anniversary of 2 years, believe it or not. So we don't want them to be hit again, but I will say McNary is in a zone where the ingredients are favorable for storms to develop. Storms will not hit every neighborhood, at least the severe ones. You know, they'll be kind of isolated at first, and then, you know, a select few of these storms will turn severe and possibly produce tornadoes. So hopefully it misses those zones, but it's certainly possible. Again, no reason to be scared. I don't want you scared. I don't want you worked up. If you're prepared and you know what's coming, no reason to be scared. Let's see. When is the heaviest amount of rain? When could we see streets flood in Shelby County? I would say there could be some street flooding overnight. I think it'll have a chance to go down a little bit, but then by tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday, through those days, we could start to see a little bit of, you know, flooding on the streets, and those creeks and streams could come up as well. Are there any storm shelters in Memphis? There are no public storm shelters, to my knowledge, last time I checked, within the city of Memphis. There is a safe room in Arlington. There is a safe room in South Haven that opens when we have a tornado watch. We have a list of safe rooms on our website right now, and we just posted that on the ABC 24 Facebook as well. So if you are concerned about finding a safe place, you could do that. We have that list. Something to think about, though, you know, if you are in a house, a site-built house, you know, they came out and built the house right there. If you have a center room, a bathroom, closet, that is fine to be in. Who we want to go to the safe room is going to be the folks in a mobile home, a manufactured home, or if you live in an upper floor of an apartment. We don't want you upstairs. So if you're in an apartment and you live upstairs, like I do, make friends with your neighbors downstairs, or make sure that the office is going to be unlocked. A lot of times that's on the lowest floor. You can go in there. What I would also say is if you are in like a dire situation, if you are in a situation where, okay, this is happening, they've said there is a tornado coming, I'm not safe where I am, get to the closest building you can. McDonald's is always open. I tell kids that when I go to school visits and teach them about severe weather safety. If you're driving around and there's a tornado, find the closest McDonald's. I promise you, we have some good folks around here. They're gonna let you in. They're not gonna lock the doors on you, right? Gas station, the same thing. Any of those things, fire stations, a firefighter's not gonna turn you down seeking shelter in their fire station, more likely than not. I can't imagine that any of them would. Police stations, anything like that. Those are great places to seek shelter just in a worst case scenario. You're in an RV going to a hotel, that is a great option. Yeah, I would not want to be in an RV tonight, just in case. You know, you might miss the worst of it, and I hope and pray that everybody misses the worst of it. I hope that any storm goes out in the middle of a field and does nothing. But with the ingredients today, I'm very concerned. Is a hallway fine in a house? Yeah, as long as it's in the middle of the house, away from windows, I would shut all the doors to the hallway. If it's in the center part of your house, that's a fine place to seek shelter, as long as you're, kind of in the lowest floor. So just to recap, we have a lot going on in the 7-day forecast. I have lived in Memphis for 26 years. I've been working as a meteorologist here for coming up on 4 years. 4 years, May 3rd, been here for this long. So I've been here a while and I've not seen such an active stretch of weather like this, going from a serious severe threat to then a flooding threat right after it. So it's gonna be a wild week, but again, we're gonna get through it. We're gonna get through it together. I'll be here with you the whole way. Meteorologist Kit Thomas is also in. We're gonna probably end up sleeping here to keep an eye on things over the next few days. We're most concerned about tonight, this evening and tonight, that severe weather potential, 4 p.m. to 1 a.m., strong tornadoes possible, high wind gusts and hail. That threat winds down after midnight, but then we still have heavy thunderstorms to deal with Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. The biggest concern those days is going to end up being the flooding rain. Some areas seeing 10 to 12 inches of rain, but some of these days could also feature a severe weather threat. I think tonight is going to be the highest risk. I don't expect another level 5, but especially Saturday is a day that there could be more strong thunderstorms. We could have a couple tomorrow evening. I think Friday we might get a little bit of a break. I don't think it rains constantly Friday. We might catch a break, and then more heavy thunderstorms Saturday. By Sunday, this moves out of here. A couple of early morning showers and then clearing out, high of 60, and then much better next week with sunshine and highs in the low 60s. So it is going to be a little cooler as we look ahead to early next week. I'm going to pop up that severe weather risk one more time as I check in those questions. Again, I'm just about to hop off of here, so if you have any more questions, now's the time to answer them. I will tell you before you go, we're going to be back at 3 p.m. 3 p.m. will be the next live update. So wherever you are watching now, join us back here at 3 p.m. For the full update and the latest updates and information. So again, just a reminder, a pretty decent severe weather threat this evening, a serious severe weather threat, a level 4 out of 5 and a level 5 out of 5 risk for everybody in the Mid-South. Even if you're in North Mississippi, if you're looking at that and saying, oh, I'm in the level 4, it's not as bad, it could be bad there as well. Everybody is under the risk for this severe weather situation. 4 p.m. to 1 a.m. Be weather aware. Call your friends and family. Make sure they know what's going on. I love that phone a friend policy because not everybody's watching the weather. I have so many friends, especially younger people that don't watch the news. They don't know social media. You know, they're not on Facebook. And they have no idea about this. Like I'm trying to tell my friends as well to pay attention to this. So a phone call can really save a life on a day like this. Tornadoes, again, a high risk across the Mid-South. There is a high risk of tornadoes somewhere in the area. Not saying a high risk specifically at your house, but a high risk somewhere in the Mid-South. Large hail possible, and then of course that heavy flooding rain as well. Stay connected with us. We are going to be here around the clock, and we'll keep updates coming on the ABC 24 app. It is a totally free download. Search ABC 24 in your App Store or Google Play. We'll send you alerts if storms are headed your way. You can also watch our broadcast there. So if your power does go out, you can watch our stream, even when the power is out. We're also streaming on smart TVs. So if you have a younger kid like me that maybe has cut cable, I don't have cable anymore. If you know one of those people, have them download our app on Roku, Fire TV, or Apple TV. Odds are if you have canceled your cable subscription, you have probably gotten a Roku or a Fire TV or a smart TV. We are on all of those things now. Pretty much anywhere you can think of to stream, we are there. And again, just search ABC 24, whatever you're on, your smartphone, your TV, ABC 24 will have that coverage there. And as the storms come in, we will also have continuous coverage there. Again, we're not going anywhere. We're going to be here around the clock. Next update at 3 p.m. We will see you then, and we're going to get through this together.